are some players you're probably not going to show up to see their documentary, but there are, I think there are 4 figures in DFW, but I don't think we all have the same one.
No, and here's the thing, and I'm going to start with one, and then we're going to get to another, is like, I see a lot of these votes. I don't think there's any chance they make it on here. From the 817, Madonna. From another 817, Madonna. From the 972, Madonna. Another 817, Madonna. I don't think there is a chance that Mike Madonna makes it. And then from the 214, Michael Young. From the 972, Michael Young. I do not think there is a chance that Michael Young makes it on here either. They are great. Mike Madonna is great. But of all Metroplex sports of all time, you don't have to pick one representative of each sport, because if you do, that would change it up. And I respect that is what these people voted for. I'm just saying, if you went to like an all-time vote, I don't think there's a chance in hell either one of them make it.
I know when I say these, Reggie's gonna get on me, because he got on me during the yeah. But I would go in no particular order. I would go Tom Landry, Roger Staubach, Dirk Nowitzki, Nolan Ryan. I think those are the 4 most popular sports figures in the history of DFW.
So you also said something about Roger that I asked my wife. My wife worked with Roger for a long time, and you said that he may be, what was the way that you phrased it? The most
I think he might be the greatest athlete in the history of athletes when it comes to everything, not just football, but I mean, the dude went to the Navy, won the Heisman, served our country, went on to be Captain America, quarterback the Dallas Cowboys, win 2 Super Bowls, then become this very successful businessman. I know he didn't become Don Meredith or Troy Aikman or all the other quarterbacks in Cowboys history and start announcing football games.
Right.
But I just think Roger Staubach, when you look at his resume, there's going to be few humans that have a resume like him that are NFL players. I get there's better quarterbacks in the history of the NFL over him, but Tom Brady and Joe Montana didn't go to the Navy and serve in the United States, in a war. Like, there is so many things that Roger did where I think he's maybe the most undervalued athlete of all time in the history of athletes.
And Kevin, I just wanted to add to that, because when I asked Adrian about that, about that thought, she said, and just think about this. And because working with him, we work in offices. There's always whispers about things, right? She's like, never. He's the genuine nicest guy. He always knew her, loved her chocolate cake that she would bring up every year for his birthday. He loved it. And he never got caught up in anything. He was like the pure all-American guy.
Yeah.
And continued to have this great, thing that followed him around of he is that good of a dude. And so that's amazing that he is. So when Mike says that, I really thought about that for a while and tried to chew on it. And Adrian says, I think Mike's right about like the most important underrated athlete in American history in being the being that he was.
I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves for what he accomplished in his life. His life's still going on. Accomplish more, Roger.
Yeah.
I wanted him to run for president. I tried to convince him in 2015 when I was at the Army-Navy game to run for president, and he said he wouldn't want anything to do with that.
But then you voted for him the next year.
I did vote for him. I still voted for him. I was the one.
So this is where Nolan Ryan is kind of the pivot point that I have a difficult time with, because I'm trying to figure out that last spot. Because for me, I feel like, and I hadn't even thought about this person initially because I was only thinking about athletes, but when you brought it up, I was like, you're right. There is almost no one more attached to the Metroplex than Tom Landry. So for me, it's Tom Landry, Roger Staubach, Dirk, and then I had a group after that, and I wasn't entirely sure. And I've seen a lot of people voting for Nolan Ryan, and maybe that's what it is. But that's why, like, I don't have to represent every sport. Madonna doesn't make it. And if I'm going to pick a Texas Ranger, it's not going to be Michael Young. I think Nolan Ryan makes the most sense because he's the most iconic. But my other ones were Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, and then trailing the pack is Mike Madonna. So, like, I'm having
who are your 4 again?
I only have 3, Tom Landry, Roger Staubach, and Dirk, and then I'm stuck. Okay. And I'm not sure about the group of Nolan, Emmitt, Aikman, and then if you want to include Madonna, but he would be like 7th pretty firmly, I think, on my list.
No Kellen Acosta or...
No,
okay.
because
we don't have an FC Dallas
he
player.
had to go.
Gotcha. This this is kind of interesting because you don't have a Ranger on there.
Yeah.
Because no Ranger has ever won a championship.
Well, and the other
As
thing
a
is,
Ranger.
yeah, that's true.
That's why I think right there, because Kevin is big on that.
Pudge,
that's a big deal.
Pudge would be in the mix if he never left and won his title here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think he would be on there. You know what I'm saying? But like, he did leave and he won elsewhere and he played for other teams. Next on the list, Juan Gonzalez. Juan Gonzalez was amazing. They got to the playoffs for the first time with that group, but they didn't win. That's the thing about Dirk, is clearly this is going to be Cowboys heavy because you know the market that we live in. But with Dirk, he is an iconic, one of the greatest players of all time. And I get that Modano fits that category as well. Mike Modano is one of the best NHL players we've ever seen. He played not all, but the most of his career here and won a title here. It's just, you have to be next level. Like, you would have had to be Sidney Crosby or something almost to be on that list as a hockey player in this market. It's unfortunate, but I feel pretty strongly about
Juan
that.
Gonzalez was a 2-time MVP.
He was.
Like, it's so
incredible.
Wild. And simply because he's not around. That he
does not
becomes
want to be
insignificant in the history of the Rangers. And I don't think the Rangers, I think if they could figure out how to rebuild that relationship, they'd love to.
Yes, he is at worst the second best Ranger of all time.
Yeah, I think they'd love to have him as hey, we can lean on Juan Gonzalez and go celebrate what he was great at too. But I understand that too. He didn't win that championship. He didn't win one here.
And so I think he's out. But that's where the conversation gets a little tricky, because what's the next logical argument? Well, what the hell did Nolan Ryan do here? He didn't win a championship. They didn't make the playoffs. He didn't win a Cy Young, but he's Nolan Ryan, and there's just something different.
He made baseball real here.
He did.
He did the 5,000 strikeout,
The
300 win, the 6th no-hitter, the 7th no-hitter. So all his kind of lasting final numbers, and I agree, right? He was better as an Angel. He was better as an Astro if you look at what he did, what he accomplished during those times. But as a Ranger, all those final accomplishments of being there and then being a Texan, going into the Hall of Fame as a Texas Ranger. His beef is back at the ballpark.
You're right about, Corey, you're right about the legitimacy. I remember as a kid when we got Nolan Ryan, I was like, holy crap, do we matter now?
Yeah. No, we absolutely did at that time because of what Mike just said too, on all those things that he was accomplishing, and the Rangers have continued to follow that formula, by the way. I mean, look, Sammy Sosa hits his 500th home run as a Ranger. Adrian Beltre gets his 3,000th hit as a Ranger. They know that gets people interested in Rangers baseball, that if you have these things coming up, then it's going to be a thing. I thought it was funny the other day when Simeon, Mike, was standing there with Woody, and I can't remember who the other coach was with him, but he's getting his Gold Glove, and he's standing there with as a Ranger. I was like, he didn't do that as a Ranger, but he's getting the award and pictures as a Ranger. They love to celebrate. Man.
I accept. I think you like this, Mike, from the 214. Roger should be on the real Mount Rushmore. All right, fair enough.
I don't disagree.
That would clear up a spot for me. And I think
it would be tough to find a greater athlete that accomplished that. Now, I mean, in baseball, you could look at what Ted Williams and Bob Feller did as also what
Ted Williams would be pretty high up on my list.
What they accomplished on the field, and then what they did for our country too, and serving and helping us win
and
wars.
The future of science.
So
okay,
true. And if his head ever gets attached to another human and it works,
then Ted Williams rockets to the top of my list. He will surpass Roger Staubach if that happens. I think I'm going to go with this from the 817. I think this is at the end of the day where I fall, but I think I'm in the minority on this. Staubach, Nowitzki, Tom Landry, and Emmitt Smith. I think that's where I'm going from. And I'm going to have Nolan after Emmitt just because there was no bigger thing. And it might be because when I grew up too.
Gotcha. Yeah.
There was no bigger thing in the world than having that Cowboys starter jacket. You know what I'm saying? Or like being part of that Cowboys lifestyle. Well, the part that we knew about. And winning. And Emmitt Smith is the all-time leading rusher. And like those combinations of things, I'm putting Emmitt Smith.
Why don't you just put that era in like a little group and just they're smaller. They're not going to be the big, huge heads, but there's going to be a bunch of little small heads in that one section.
I think I know your answer, but I'll ask it. Do you think if they did a documentary on Emmitt Smith today that you would get 38,000 people?
And that's the
thing. People love Emmitt.
And they
do love Emmitt.
That's where I'm conflicted about this. I think if it went head to head, we do have 2 ballparks right next to each other. Great. We go head to head, put the Nolan in one and put the Emmitt Smith documentary in the other one and ignore the different capacity sizes. I think you sell more for the Nolan documentary. I really do. So I get it. For all the people saying Nolan, I certainly understand it.
Then, all right, I'll give you my list. Then it would be Roger, Dirk, the trio of the triplets together in the smaller head form.
Oh, cheater!
And then Nelson Cruz.
Why would you do this?
Is that not the biggest moment in Texas Rangers history?
I thought you would exercise these demons.
Is that not the biggest moment? I love Nelson Cruz. Have you not watched the videos?
They're not naming a highway after Nelson Cruz. They named it after Tom Landry.
Yeah.
There's hats everywhere.
Most significant moment right now in Rangers history until somebody changes it.
I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. And for me, it was Neftali Feliz striking out A-Rod. I have blocked the rest of that out.
There's no hate in my heart for that, by the way.
It feels like there is. Hate for us. For the 903, Dirk, Landry, and Staubach are the no-doubters. And that's how I feel, and that's where I got stuck. Did you power rank yours at all? Like, I know if you're on Mount Rushmore, you're doing good.
I rank them as Tom Landry number 1. I get he hasn't coached in forever. He's been dead for a long time, too.
What?
But I think Tom Landry, when you think of Cowboys and Dallas, it's 5 times more important than Mavs or Rangers, maybe even 100 times more. And then I did put Roger 2, Dirk 3, and Nolan 4.
Okay, so you're at least with me in terms of like maybe the hierarchy. I just got stuck on 4 a little bit more, and I refuse to acknowledge your number 4.
I had to get a Ranger on there, man.
It hurts my feelings.
I had to get a Ranger on the list.
And from the 817, why are you hating on hockey? Madonna is one of the greatest hockey players of all time, like I said. But you have to be like next level.
By the way,
all-time
Rangers
great.
never won a championship. Madonna did. And he's the next level. All-time leading U.S. Goal scorer?
Sure.
From America.
But like the thing that's
the sport of the country of hockey.
I know, but that is true. But the thing that's complicated about that is then you compare that with Mike Modano. How many times was he first team all NHL?
I don't know.
Never.
Why? Because he lived in Dallas. Yeah, they forgot. They were like, oh crap, there's hockey in Dallas. We forgot this year.
Huh.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Until we won a championship.
I'll have to get with Big Hockey and investigate that. I don't know if that's the case. Hell, put Modano on this Stars team. He can't be any worse at helping us score goals. So we can figure this out.
The 817, just remember, the Astros cheated to get a championship. Never forget that.
Yeah. Why don't you never forget that? You never forget the part about the Rangers that I don't want to hear.
I just said it. I did say Dirk, by the way.